This week on the show, photographer Oz John. I'm model Roxanne Kelly.
And I'm photographer Brian Fisher.
And this is TWiP GLAM.
Hey, Roxanne, how's it going?
Wonderful. How you doing?
Excellent. By the time this airs, you should be almost back from your giant trip.
Oh, man. I leave
We
in
have
just a
to
few
pre-record
days.
because Roxanne suffers a wanderlust and ends up in strange parts of the world.
I do.
Which end of the world are your adventures taking you?
We are flying into Cape Town, South Africa.
Excellent.
And heading up all the way up the coastline and through Malawi and Mozambique to Tanzania for 7 weeks total.
So let's see. That will be for you, knowing you. There'll be hiking through the wilderness.
Absolutely.
Let's see. I think they don't have bears, so you probably wrestle crocodiles.
Probably.
And a little modeling on the side just for fun.
I hope so. I'm trying to find some
Excellent.
photographers over there.
Very
and
good.
We're going to do some bungee jumping, I'm sure, and
I'm
hang
sure.
over waterfalls.
Go with a tall and check the bungees.
It's going to be over the bridge, hopefully.
Nothing
Victoria
stops
Falls.
Roxanne.
It's going to be wonderful.
This week on the show, we have a great photographer, Oz John. How you doing, Oz?
Good. Yourself?
Excellent.
Doing great, thanks.
The first thing we had to ask when we met you is, that is the greatest modeling name ever, but not the case.
Turns out it's your real name, huh?
Maybe I switched the career.
Where does Oz come from other than the Wizard of?
Yeah, it's my real name.
Your parents were just original, or is it ethnic?
Actually, my father's side is Scottish,
Okay.
and my mother's side is Turkish. I'm a little bit East European, a little bit West European. It's a mix. But I grew up in a German education system.
Okay.
German high school. But yeah, I'm a little bit mix of.
It's kind of a fun mix, actually.
Yeah.
Let's see. Turkish women are known for being extremely passionate, and Irish men are known for fighting. And,
And drinking a lot.
and German schools highly orderly. That had to be great. How did you come to be a photographer?
Actually, my real background is graphic design.
Oh.
I studied graphic design at the university, and then I did my master's degree in advertising. I also have a PhD in visual communication. I have an academic background, and then
Very
I
good.
started working in the industry as an art director. I worked 14 years as an art director in advertising, and then I started teaching. While I was teaching, the passion of photography, it has started again. And then I started taking pictures first, like street photography and etc. And then, all of a sudden I found myself, shooting professionally.
I think it's so interesting to see how people sort of worked their way into the business. And you're not the first person we've had that has a strong graphics background, design, formal education, and
It's true.
as I think people will see, much like our previous guest that had a similar background, it shows up in the work. That sort of very well understood design, the format of the image. Art background, not as useless as your high school counselor said it was going to be.
Even Albert Watson, he comes from graphic design. There are lots of photographers.
Yeah, I think that's
It,
true.
it helps a lot because composition, color, lots of things, and also I took 3 years photography at the school. Back in film days, advanced darkroom and studio photography. And I worked a lot with photographers. While I was an art director. I used to art direct the photo shoots. And then I found myself behind the camera.
Very cool.
Not in front of it, huh?
Yep. Maybe one day.
Yeah.
See, with men, your odds of going in front of the camera increases as you get older because, you know, a little weather does wonders for those of us that are not photogenic. So before we jump into pictures, I would like to remind everybody that because we have some more adult pictures artistically in our podcast, we have two different feeds. You've got your iTunes and YouTube feeds that are censored to keep the prudes at iTunes and YouTube happy. And then we have our full feed that is uncensored, and that is at thisweekinphoto.com. Jumping into our first image is lovely.
Gorgeous.
Tell us a little about this.
Yeah, where was this shot, first of all? I'm super interested.
It's in my studio.
Okay.
I shot this for a haute couture designer. His name is Mark Belford. Actually, he does lots of red carpet stuff.
It's borderline fashion, yeah.
I'd say it's
you know, what you see, this dress is $30,000. You know,
oh my goodness.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
it's a car, you know, and it's everything is, you know, done by hand, you know.
Well, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a piece of art, yeah.
The what I found interesting, because this is solidly fashion, and one of the first reasons why I was like, oh yeah, this one has to go in, is that most people approach fashion as, I really kind of got to light every corner of this beautiful piece of art so everybody can see it. This, you've used a deep dark background, you've used deep shadows to
Accentuates.
It accentuates the shape of the model. It gives the model a presence. She's not just a hanger for the dress.
Yeah.
She's still got some hip. You can see that she's got leg. And I really like that artistic choice. And the dark background with her very light skin, of course, she just sort of explodes off of it.
I love her hand placement, too.
Yeah.
It's very dramatic.
Yes.
This is the difference of art photography and a little bit fashion and the commercial photography. For instance, if you shoot something for, I don't know, something like H&M, right? Everything must be well lit, you know, bright and more commercial. But this is all about, you know, mood. People, you know, who buy this dress, you know, they wear it on red carpet, you know, in that type of event. Therefore, the feel of the dress should be different than, you know, daily fashion or street fashion.
Well, and I think even, again, you talk about especially catalog-y stuff. They try to put a light everywhere and show you every corner of the dress. And I honestly think that a lot of sales is generating the aspiration and feel. And I think we've gotten too into this is a product that must be shown in every way. We should be selling people on, you're going to be elegant. You're going to be a piece of art in this. And there are a few art houses that are doing, a few photography houses doing it, but a lot of places they just put a stamp out and it's just another well-lit picture.
Yeah, it also a little bit depends on the designer, you know. Sometimes, their approach, you know, most of them, you know, especially haute couture designers, they are more artistic people.
Yes.
You know, they accept that type of approach. You know, they don't want to, you know, show everything, you know, well lit, and they love a little bit mystery because this dress is about mystery, right?
It is a fine choice.
It is.
On to our next image.
This is much different.
Honestly, this is more bright, you know, because this is an advertising photography. You know, it's more, you know, bright and, you know, the colors and the light, everything.
It's meant to sort of smack you when you get to it. You're like, wow, there it is.
She's playing alone, by the way.
That's, you know, it's a deceptively simple shot. It's one big light there on camera left and obviously a well-placed piece of AstroTurf.
Yes.
How big of a team did you go out with to shoot this?
There was a makeup artist and a hairstylist, and you know, I think I had an assistant. That's it. 4 people plus model, 5 people.
Nice small team, which is that's admittedly how I like to figure out how few people I can get away with when I do most of my photography. Did you have to permit out for this, or was it just public enough you could just stop on the sidewalk and go for it?
Actually, no, this is a public space. You know, it's a sidewalk in downtown.
Some like if you're in San Francisco, you can't put tripod legs down without somebody running up to see if you got a permit to shoot commercially.
Yeah, it a little bit depends on where you are.
Yeah.
Is this in Chicago?
No, this is in Toronto.
Toronto. Sorry,
Yep.
I'm trying to place. I went on an architectural tour of Chicago, and one of the buildings looked familiar.
Yeah, it's good. I can see where you'd get that.
Yeah.
You know the difference is that's really clean.
You're right. You're right.
I have to say I was in downtown Chicago this last summer, and it was actually surprisingly nice. It was not as
yeah.
it wasn't
depends on
what
which
its
area you go
reputation
to.
is. I was downtown in the Loop. It was
Yeah.
very
Actually, by
nice.
the river is beautiful.
It
For the
is.
most part, it's pretty
Yes, they have a
clean.
giant bean.
Oh, yes, that's pretty fun.
Nobody can explain why, though.
Oh, it's just a piece of art. Who knows?
Yeah, that's the laziest design piece of art ever.
Yeah.
Somebody
Did
went with some clay. That's the thing we're going to build. Okay, make it 300 feet long.
Did you walk into underneath it?
No, I just walked
Oh,
around
it's
it.
a really neat view.
It's a neat picture. I like the strong verticals, and I like that the lines in the sidewalk kind of play into the grids on the building. How big was the softbox that you used, or is it soft?
No, it's not a softbox. Actually, there's a 8.5-inch reflector on the left,
Okay.
and there is I think it was 8360 again with a reflector and a gel, orange gel on the right back of the model. Two lights,
Nice
and plus
and minimalist.
and the sunlight was on the left, little bit, angled to the main light.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, basically
Very
three
good.
lights.
Yeah, really, really good.
And this is also for a client?
Yes,
And what were they selling? The jersey?
yes, it's sports,
Okay.
and we tried to add a tweak on it, a little bit, fashion, because people started wearing, sports stuff, on daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to combine, the sporty and the fashion, a little bit. It's a small tweak.
One of the things that people don't think about with things like a sports jersey, and I've shot a bit of sports gear, is that the person that's going to buy it, your customer, knows exactly what that looks like. You are not selling the image of the shirt. You're selling the image of what they're going to do in the shirt.
Yeah.
And so, where if it was an original design or say, I shot some images for a play where people were in a uniform. And because the uniform was iconic to what they were doing and not publicly familiar, we really had to show a lot of it. Here, her hair is covering a very large amount of it, and it simply doesn't matter because
If you know that sports team, you know what they look like.
you know the team, you know what they look
But
like.
here, the idea is not, selling just the jersey. And the idea, actually, there's a message here. And mostly people wear all this sport stuff, only while playing. But we want to say, sport outfits and, shoes, they could be fashionable. And you can wear it, also daily. You can buy it even if you're not a, sports person, right? You can enjoy. And
Sure.
Yeah, I think it works well. On to our next image. Again, dark, all about the mood.
Yes.
Mm.
What a sexy picture.
Yes.
I love the way her head is angled.
Yes.
It's it's very seductive.
When I first look at this image, I see first I see the parallels between the lines on the vest or jacket and then the candles, very similar feel to them, but those lines coming down her front, besides accentuating her bosom, she gets that very Coke bottle-y look about her, regardless of what I'm sure she has a fabulous figure otherwise, but it communicates a shape about her that is impressive.
thank
I
you.
love the lines.
Yeah.
I want to wear that dress.
Yeah. This is about Portuguese designers collection, and everything what you see, in the image, the big pork and the Portuguese wine and everything about the mood and etc. We try to make it a little bit Portuguese
Interesting.
culture to give the sense of it. Therefore, a little bit again, a little bit at the dark side, not really bright.
Now, this is interesting that somebody who's Portuguese is probably going to take a stronger look at this picture and go, I know what that is. I know what that is.
Yeah.
It's going to communicate on a deeper way, where we look at it and we're like, ham, wine, cool jacket.
Yeah, exactly. And candles.
Actually, the owner of the store, who owned the collection, they were a Portuguese couple, and they knew what is typical Portuguese, and when styling, they helped me a lot.
Excellent. And of course, I'm sure since it reaches back to their heritage, they loved the image.
Oh yes, they did.
Very cool. Love it. Love the dark mood. It is really quite good. There's not a huge amount to say other than what a nice, simple setup.
And I like the 1/3, 2/3, just like the normal rule. You get
bigger soft box, I'm guessing, or big soft something up on the camera, right?
Actually, there is a 28-inch Mola beauty dish with a grid on the right, and there is one gridded reflector on the left. That's it. 2 lights.
Very nice. And of course, gridded to keep it from sort of spreading out, and otherwise you'll contaminate everything else around.
A flag on the right, a little bit, for cutting the light at the bottom and then accentuate the upper part of the dress. There's a flag.
It worked really well.
Very. What is all over her?
It kind of looked like automotive grease when I saw it. My first thought is, wow, that's going to be fun to get off. And my second thought is,
let us guess.
It'd be a lot of fun putting that on.
Yeah. Ash, maybe, or charcoal.
Actually, it is acrylic, black acrylic. This is totally improvisation.
The styles together are super fun.
Yeah, actually, I worked with her before, and she's from Montreal, and she said, she just called me and said, I had a shoot and it was canceled. What are you up to? And I said, nothing, just, I have time. Would you like to shoot? I said, oh, sure. And what are we going to shoot? And I don't know, just come over and we can just play around. And then she came, and what can we shoot? And then I had this, I had lots of props and, things like this hat and the glasses. And then, I don't know, I said, oh, maybe I can paint you. She said, okay. Actually, I painted her.
Oh, well, you had a very fun job.
So it is body paint. So you had time to work. You wouldn't get everywhere.
Yeah, it was improvisation, totally unplanned.
What is the fun glasses and the hat just cracks me up.
Yeah,
and the wig. That is a fun wig.
It's not big. It's it's her real hair, and
really?
just dyed. She had blue, half blue, half.
How funny! Blue and green. It looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Yeah, I've passed up some insane hats and things going to cosplay type stuff, and I'm feeling regretful about not having just laid down some money and gotten a giant fuzzy bear hat.
Yeah. What else do you use it for? Just a shoot. That's it. And you could wear it around. You could probably sleep in it.
The funny thing is, having Roxanne as my sort of default muse, I now approach strange things, and I'm like, I wonder if Roxanne would wear that. The answer is usually, well, yes, actually, she would.
I would for a shoot, almost always, yes. For a concept, absolutely.
It is interesting as it's body paint, but it looks like finger painting essentially.
It does.
Actually, I painted with my fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What that is the most basic form of painting on Earth. It goes back millions of years, and yet I think this is the first finger paint body paint I've ever seen.
It's true.
Yeah, actually, I tried to match the background a little bit. Yeah.
All right, well, this next image, I like having male models. I always enjoy
shocking.
that. Yes.
Shocking you would.
The female models are always beautiful.
Yes.
But this one, especially alternative kind of model, is very interesting.
So what immediately caught me about this is it has a tremendous sense of action.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have motion blur, but it kind of looks like it should.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's crisp and nicely done. I really like the treatment you've done as far as it's very carefully sharpened to be crisp without looking over sharpened at all. And I don't know how exactly you did it, but it's great.
Thank you.
Are the reflections on the ground part of the
Plexiglass.
original image?
Original, yeah, plexiglass. White plexiglass.
White plexi.
Okay.
Okay.
And is he tattooed?
Yes.
A lot.
That's what I figured. And I thought maybe it was paint or, it's always an interesting thing.
That would be a
Henna.
long day.
That would be.
Yeah. Actually, he is very popular, especially on Instagram. I think he has 1 million followers or something like that.
Wow. Well, that's a few.
Yeah.
That's a message for I've met many a young photographer who's like, well, I don't want to pay famous model a bunch of money to come be in my portfolio. No matter how pretty they are. I've spent all this money. But if you want to be seen by a lot of people, find somebody with a lot of followers and work for free.
Yeah, there you go. Did he pay you for this shoot or vice versa?
No, actually, we worked before. And then, again, this is a little bit improvisation. And then, we knew each other. We were friends. And then he was at the studio. And we said, oh, let's shoot something. And what are we going to shoot? And let's do some, I don't know, like movements with your body and, just, take your shirt off. And
Of course.
And
that's the first step.
yeah. And actually, this won an award in black and white category, actually second place.
Oh.
This picture.
I love the hipster
And
boots.
he's a very nice guy, when you look at him, most people think, oh, he's a little bit aloof, and actually he's very down to earth, very nice guy, and you cannot believe, yeah.
Huh.
It's well done. The hands are great.
Yeah.
Honestly, especially the upper torso, well, the whole thing.
The angles are amazing.
Yeah, if you painted him in stone colored and stood him in the middle of a bunch of Greek ruins, he'd be right in there.
Yeah, it's a good pose. You're right.
It's
the fingers, especially.
put
that
a discus
angle.
in his hands or something
Yeah,
from the
there you
first
go.
Olympiad.
Maybe
great.
that's what he was going for.
And perfect body type for this thing. It's one thing to get somebody into a pose. It's another thing when the pose is meant for the person.
Yeah.
So I really, really like it, and I'm going to have to invest in some white plexiglass.
For sure. Oh, very classy.
I gotta ask what. At first, I looked at it. I'm like, where is that? It's a very interesting entryway.
Probably a hotel.
It's not entryway. It's the suite of the Shangri-La Hotel.
Okay.
Very cool.
It's really neat. That is all custom. That's
Oh yes.
round doorway.
I'm building a bathroom on the house here this summer, and I immediately took this picture and showed it to my wife and said, "How about we build this?" She's like, "No, Brian, you can't do that." I'm like, oh man.
I'm sure you could.
Oh, I could.
I'm sure you could.
I'm somewhat handy.
No, I've seen.
And well, the problem is, if I build something really cool, then I'd be dragging the models in the house, going, "Stand there."
Yeah.
And,
for
my
sure.
wife has got a definite line between where things should and shouldn't be in the house as well. My photography stuff is not allowed. But I brought it in because it is such a very interesting spot. I like all of the detail. again, relatively simply lit, beautiful model, interesting dress, almost. It's a dress that has a certain amount of lingerie influence to it.
It's true. And also maybe flapper or
it's
something influence.
yeah, it's see-through and the fabric has some texture.
Yeah,
And the layers, they just reminds me of like 40s.
It's very
or...
well. I was actually looking at the around the middle. It almost has 1880s lingerie, kind of a Western saloony-ness to it.
That totally could
They
be.
really dug in many directions.
Yeah, the inspiration was actually the designer inspiration was Elizabeth Taylor, and he loves Elizabeth Taylor, and then he dedicated this collection to her, and therefore
inspiration.
you see the influence of the 50s, 60s maybe. Yeah.
Well, and a really good choice in models for that.
Well, she's classic looking.
Very much so.
Yeah.
You could.
Yeah, we try to find someone who looks like a little bit Liz Taylor.
Yeah.
Again, the hairstyle, makeup. We try to a little bit emulate, this, film scene.
Is Toronto a good modeling town as far as people resources? A lot of models in the area, or do you have to bring them in?
Actually, yeah, there are agencies. Actually, it's maybe the biggest city, in Canada. It's not as big as, New York, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we're halfway between Los Angeles and San Francisco.
So we have a pretty good draw for...
Yeah, well, so long as you're willing to bring somebody in, you have infinite models. On the other hand, if you want to work with somebody local, it is more limited.
Yes, it's true. I feel like I've worked with almost all the photographers in this area.
Yes, you have.
This is New York.
Oh, yes,
yeah.
This is really fun. This dress is awesome.
Yeah.
Did you color tweak a yellow pattern on the ground into pink, or was it
No,
pink?
actually, interesting. I shot this for a designer. Her name is Sarah Splinter, and she buys her fabrics from India. Actually, she goes and then buys everything on her own, and then this dress is silk, pure silk, and it's hand painted.
It's what?
What you
Hand-painted.
hand paint,
Oh, man.
and what you see, the whole skirt is hand painted by her.
Oh,
actually.
you're not finding that at Kmart.
Yeah. No, not even online, I bet. This
No,
is
that's,
a designer-only boutique.
Yeah, it's couture.
Absolute work of art.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And the colors are incredible.
She's a really nice choice for models. She wears the pinks and the reds very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Many a new photographer would go, wow, he didn't even straighten the picture.
Yeah.
In this case, important to add some sort of pseudo movement to the image with not being straight.
And dimension.
Yeah, it brings dimension.
It also looks kind of candid.
Yeah. Infinitely more boring if you were to straighten it out.
And even sometimes, if it's just a little bit slanted, sometimes, I play around. I rotate the image a little bit more than the way it was.
Just to make it a little more dynamic.
Oh. And then if you look at her, her body and head, moves towards left and the building towards right. And, it makes more dynamic, right? The opposite direction. It's like an X kind of.
Yeah.
Or V.
I think it's really a very good
And her
choice.
hand, goes to right and the skirt goes to left. And
And
Yeah,
that
very
pink square on the ground is just hilarious.
I know. I can't believe you found that.
yeah, it's there.
It just goes kind of with the dress.
In California, we have those, but they're yellow.
Yes.
Sometimes it's lucky.
Yeah.
Get out spray can. Psh,
Yeah.
it's pink today. Oh, very nice. The blue sky sets it off nicely. It's a good choice of blue if you happen to have adjusted that a bit.
Yeah, luckily it was cloudy that day, and then it made the sky, beautiful, a little bit even darker. It helped me just with one stroke. Yeah, I pulled it off.
Fantastic.
Oh man, so much can be said. I love it. Who did the hair? I really, really, really like the hair.
Her name is Michelle Brisson.
Okay. Did she use a base underneath, like maybe soda cans?
Yes. She makes round shapes, and then actually it's an extension. That part of the hair is extension.
Okay.
And she blends these pieces onto her real hair. It looks like as if it's one piece of hair.
Is she wearing any clothes at all underneath?
Yes, just she's
Something
not fully naked.
strapless.
Yeah,
I was just curious because you really cannot tell for sure if that's just how it hangs.
Right at the edge, right? Yeah.
Well, and honestly,
make it more interesting, right?
Yeah.
what the strapless dress is a very powerful thing because your brain went there, obviously, but also when you simplify the shoulders, when you take away any extra lines, it just has a more exotic look about it. The makeup is epic.
Yeah.
If you told me that this is a character sheet from the new Star Trek movie, I'd be like, okay,
yeah, maybe.
She is a beautiful woman.
She is stunning.
Yeah,
And look at those full lips and her shape of her eyes. I mean,
I'm just looking at her whole face shape is really quite remarkable.
Very exotic.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I like that the fingernails match the eyes.
Yeah.
That is beautifully.
You've got some motion in the first one, in the first hand here.
Yes. Really, is that depth of field real or artificial?
Yeah, it's real. I use the Lens Baby.
Okay.
Lens Baby. It's there is no artificial blur or Photoshop. It's the real effect of the lens.
Very cool. I keep thinking I'm going to buy some Lens Babies, although they keep getting, every time they come out with a new Lens Baby, it gets more and more expensive. And for a lens whose advertised quality is like, this does not work.
Yeah.
I mean, it works, but it's, works strangely.
Yes.
I just haven't brought myself to do it. But
it's a really fun image, though.
Yeah.
I like the color in the background as well, that dark blue.
Yeah.
Dark black.
Is that like a blue spot in the background or a gelled light?
No, it's a blue background, just one, spotlight.
Just a little light spot on it.
Yep, right behind her. Yeah.
Which makes everything else kind of disappear.
The beauty of
into
being
black.
in a studio. I shoot almost exclusively outdoors, and except for kid photography, which I do inside because you have to control the little monsters. But
can't just set them free and take pictures.
trying to pull off the subtlety in lighting is hard. And when I interview somebody who works for the most part in the studio, I keep going, maybe I need a studio again.
Well, we have somewhat of a studio right here.
Yeah, I know, but we need a proper studio. Yeah. Win lotto so we can buy a great big place.
I plan to. I just don't play.
It doesn't change the odds. Really, statistically, it's not that much different. Okay. Possibly my number one favorite.
Very, very fun.
I love this one too.
This guy is an actor, isn't he?
Yeah, actually, he's a very famous, Canadian actor. Actually, he is originally British. Oh. And a few years ago, he won an award with his King Lear performance. He's a very famous, well-known, Canadian actor. He's such a lovely person. Yeah.
I chose to put the twin lens reflex camera on the desk today because I have this picture.
Yes, I saw it. I was going to mention,
He's one lucky guy too. Man,
yeah,
she is.
Yeah, she's okay too.
She's like a 10 for sure. Look at
9'8".
9'8", you think?
I don't want to go too far.
I don't know. I really, really like her hair. And then, of course, all of her shapes from there down is wonderful as well.
Yeah, she's lovely. Yeah.
I like that they've pulled off this, kind of looks like they're out on the streets of a town looking about.
Yeah.
And although the theater goggles are strange for being sort of an outdoor feel.
Yeah. They're looking for something.
Yes.
They're detectives.
It kind of has that, it's just strange.
Yeah.
And what I like about this, and maybe everybody every photographer should try to create an image where the viewer looks at it and their brain explodes trying to create a story to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look at him and you're like, it's a guy who's, like royalty out to go take some pictures in 1940.
Yeah.
And then...
Actually, there is a really big concept behind it. The picture is called semiotic con/fusion. Semiotic fusion and semiotic confusion. It's a little bit, showing the contrast. They are together, but they are not. They are interested, in different things. One is looking here, one is looking there.
Mm-hmm.
One is full of, signifiers. He wears, sneakers, and he is like a little bit royal, and he has a camera. On the other hand, she is totally, naked. There is no signifier to identify her other than this binoculars. Yeah.
And it also, the nudity, it performs a function here. It is not, oh, look, there's a incredibly pretty, amazing bodied naked girl. It is metaphorical.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Here, it's not nude for the sake of nude. It's just because of the concept. She is nude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely true. I had a model. It's actually a pair of models contact me, and they wanted to do a nude versus a burqa, or political statement. And
interesting.
I didn't commit to the project because I didn't want giant controversy following our show.
Yes, that's true. You would get that.
Yeah, I think we need to go at least one season without the death threats. But still, it's a similar concept, the juxtaposition of coverings, and it is great.
Mm-hmm. Classic. Oh, she looks like she belongs there permanently.
Yes.
She looks like part of the pillar.
I look at this. Yeah, I was recently reading some stuff about the fall of Rome and how Rome was great, literally up until a very sharp cut down when it just fell apart. And there's talk about the despair of the people of Rome who had lived their lives in great luxury, and they watched it disintegrate in front of them. And when I pulled this up, I felt that because of The Rock and her look, and I thought, oh, that's the last days of Rome when the royalty saw it all disintegrating and their fabulous lives were coming to an end.
Yeah. The tonal qualities that you got from her skin to almost match the stone is incredible.
Yeah, well chosen.
She's Dutch, actually, originally, real Dutch, and she married to a Canadian jazz musician and moved to Canada a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And actually she's very popular and well known in Europe. She's an excellent model.
Yeah, she pulls off, she has a despondent look, but it's not just her face, which does have that. Mm-hmm. It is the shoulders. It's the choice of showing the inside of that elbow, which is not a happy thing.
Mm-hmm. It's also the way she crosses her legs.
Yeah, everything.
It's like vulnerability.
She is very different left to right, which makes a big difference. Yeah. She's sending two different messages, which is important. And
she's so graceful, actually.
Yeah, and she does all of that and still is a screaming hot model.
Yeah, her hair is really interesting. I like the style. It is almost Roman.
It is. Yeah, like I said, it really reminded me of...
Well, especially with the one shoulder,
Roman.
too.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a dead giveaway.
The stylist, but yeah, it's a very beautiful image. And much different than the ones we've been looking at.
Again, strongly lit on one side, allowing all the shadows to bring out the details.
Yeah. And she's leaned into the pillar, and it makes your eyes go only to her and her face. It just pops.
Yeah. Really, really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Dark.
And, yeah.
Just
another male model for me.
Another male model for you. Just illuminated enough to really push the subject. And then, of course, that shoulder is nice and hot to bring out the clothing. Mm-hmm. Was this fashion or?
Gotta be. It's gotta be. Yes?
Yeah, okay, this is the cover of the Model Citizen magazine last month, yeah.
Oh, last month. That's very recent.
2 months ago.
2 months ago. Either way, that's very recent.
Issues ago. This was used as the cover of the magazine.
That's an excellent choice. Boy, you could really
pop some headlines.
Pop some headlines into that, and you got your name in there too, which is good.
Yeah, they said we want to include your pictures in the issue. I said, oh, I love it.
Mm-hmm. Well, great publicity.
Yeah, and the shot. Did you shoot it thinking magazine cover, or did you just choose it out of your portfolio?
Actually, I shot this for him, and then the magazine saw the image. I think on Instagram, I guess.
Interesting.
I'm not, in my website maybe. And then they proposed, we want to use this image as the cover of our next issue. What do you think? I said, yeah, of course.
If you must.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, I just received the magazine issue, and
Yeah, let's
let's
have a look there.
I don't know if you can see the
nice.
magazine.
Yeah.
Here, they gave me some pages inside.
How fun.
That is cool. There really is nothing like being published. I mean, I know a lot of you are like, they scoff at it. Oh, you're just doing this to get your picture on the front. Man, the first time you walk by, I went into the 7-Eleven and there was one of my pictures on the front of a calendar. And I was like, that's cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And of course, you have to take anybody that's in the place. That's my picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, I visited a swimwear vendor once online, and there was one of my pictures as their big splash picture, except I had not sold it to them.
Oh.
And it was still cool to see that they had used it, and it was cool when they finally paid me.
That's good. Didn't you? So you told them?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
They were a little embarrassed. Somebody had taken my picture and then sold it as theirs.
Really?
Yep.
Wow, that's
rude.
Very poor manners.
Yeah, very poor manners. It's just an ideal thing, and a lesson to shoot some stuff with some nice big negative space around it, because for this sort of thing where you're going to add text,
I like the black background anyway. It makes everything pop, and the white coat, it screams at you.
It is very much the same as we use the white backgrounds to isolate our models.
There you go.
And I also like kind of the very strong V that the clothing makes leading to the face.
Yep. Yeah, it wouldn't be the same if he buttoned it. And then you wouldn't be able to see his nice chest either.
Yes. Now, for our last picture, save this for last. You think I would use the magazine for the last picture?
I don't think so. I think it might be a behind.
It would be a good one to use as the last picture, but then I thought, there's a picture in here that the only thing wrong with it is Roxanne wasn't the model.
Hey, it has a behind in it, but it's not full.
Well, that's true.
Posterior.
It is not. Roxanne likes to put a buttock picture as the last image.
I do like
that. You would totally love this.
What a fun one, man! I love it's super artistic. Yet, where is she? She's in the jungle somewhere with inadequate footwear and, and a very strange mask.
I love that mask.
Yes, it's very cool.
It's kind of got a Mardi Gras kind of theatrical Satan portrayal.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily look evil, but the long nose and the red color.
Coloring.
Yeah, maybe it is.
It needs some horns.
It's supposed to be. Yeah, exactly.
Where did that come from?
Yeah, what inspired this idea?
Actually, this is also conceptual work. Not for the sake of nudity. And this is called Red Priestess. And, it's a little bit against the patriarchal, culture and the religions, if you look at because normally you cannot be a priest, but she's a, powerful woman. She's a priestess, and she is proud and strong with what she is, with her femininity. And, even if you look back, the word witch, today, when you say witch, people freak out. Ooh, it's something evil. Actually, in reality, the witch, it comes from English word from wit. It means wise woman.
I did not know that.
Since the Christianity, they were freaked out from witches because they were powerful women. They tried to a little bit, slander their names and fames. And I want to give, women their dignity and, their powerful femininity a little bit back.
Yeah, I was thinking if Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom had been made today and been rated R, there would have been a couple of these gals in it. in the temple.
Yeah.
It is powerful. The angles, all of those angles from the legs and the arms. I like that little splash of warm light that gives you the shape of her buttock and sort of rounds her out.
Mm-hmm. Well, it gives her a 3D dimension. Otherwise, it would be a little flat.
Absolutely. It's great on every level. I really, really like it. I like them all.
Gorgeous image.
The beauty of this podcast is we get to only pick great pictures to look at.
Yeah.
It's rare that you'd be like, oh, another one, click.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
and they're
all
also different,
great.
and I love that part.
Actually, even I made all the props, including the jewelry, everything what you see. I painted the mask and, the spear, I made it from clay.
Oh.
Then painted, like metal and everything what you see,
Cool. I love the arts and crafts side of it, and I kind of wish I need another workshop now that I've taken up my workshop because it's getting hard to do things.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Because we have this studio instead.
Yeah.
And I need a studio. And
a real studio.
Yeah, I really need
a shooting
lot
studio.
of space.
Yeah, exactly.
But
well, you have the property for it.
That's true. She is lovely. Her form is nice. She's a excellent choice, I think. It occasionally in your photography career, you have the oddity of trying to pick a model based on their bosom. Yeah. And without being too graphic about it, her bosom is perfect. Bigger or smaller would not have communicated the sort of mammary strength of her, if that makes sense.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that people with larger or smaller busts aren't women or powerful, but she is not so big that it dominates the picture. She is not so small that...
exactly.
Yeah. A very nice choice.
Neither voluptuous nor weak. She is, strong and healthy woman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really great.
Agreed.
So, obviously, you're in full swing with your career. Are you planning on expanding into, like, teaching or anything, or are you just going to march on?
Actually, I already do.
Oh, good.
Oh.
I teach photography in a college.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Therefore, I told you, before this, for a while I was a full-time faculty, and then I resigned for following my own passion, in photography. But I love teaching. This is why I keep teaching.
Yeah.
Well, coincidentally, the Yashica that I chose to put up here on the desk originally belonged to one of my photography instructors. And I think you make a connection with your photography instructor that you don't make with other people. Because you're accessing that visual intelligence in your mind, and a good photography instructor sort of syncs with his students in a very unusual way, just as photographers and models syncing in their special way creates a bond. And I have to think that over half of my photography instructors through the years, I have their cell phone number in my phone. It's been 27 years later.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it is.
I have some of my students, on Instagram and etc. We have they created a Facebook group, and we're still in touch.
Sure.
I don't let them go, after the class, and
Gotta love
whenever
it.
they need me, I'm there.
Well, where can people contact you? Where can we see most of your work and reach out?
Do you mean social media?
Sure. Or websites, or however the best way to reach you is.
Yeah, I have a website. It's oz-john.com.
That's easy.
I'm on Instagram. I don't use Facebook too much, but I have a presence.
What's your handle for Instagram?
It's oz.john.photography.
Oh, perfect.
I wanted to take Oz John, but somebody took it.
Oh
There
man,
can't
you
be
didn't
another
quite...
Oz John.
I know, my goodness, you didn't quite beat him
You're
to
just
it,
a
huh?
fan of Disney. That's not the real thing.
Yeah.
Therefore, I had to include, that photography.
Is there a link on your website that people can contact you on?
Yes, there is my links to social media, and there is also a link in Instagram, to my website. I try to keep all this cross references between the social media.
Well, we absolutely have enjoyed having you here. We have loved your work. We hope to have you on again in the future.
Thank you very much.
Just an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time to come on our show today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, or check out our unedited episodes at thisweekinphoto.com.
We'll see you next time on
Bye.
TWiP GLAM. Bye-bye.